This video contains major spoilers for Metaphor ReFantazio. I've already made a video about my favorite plot moment in Metaphor, and I stand by it. However, there's an additional section that, while significantly longer, kept me on the edge of my seat for well over an hour. A sequence so densely packed with important plot moments and revelations that I still get excited about it. I'm of course talking about the Opera House in Altabury. I'm Ouroboros. Let's talk. Okay, so you're making your way through Metaphor and you've just made it past my favorite single moment in the game, Drakengrace Shinjuku. You've learned that this world is most likely the real world and that a war of dragons decimated humanity. It's unclear on some of the details, but that's the gist of it. You've had the remainder of the Dragon Temple to digest this information, but the game doesn't really acknowledge it afterwards. Instead, it just continues on with this fun little race for the throne. You make your way to the Montario Opera House, and the party makes their 1000th attempt to kill Louise. Except this time, it does feel a little more final. You have Dracodios, a weapon that is able to pierce through the king's protection. Your party is full of powerful warriors, and you'll even have the perfect distraction, Juna. The pieces seem like they're falling into place, and so begins Metaphor's Opera House insanity. It begins with some kind of trading sequence? I seriously don't really know why this is here. It's a gameplay edition that comes completely out of left field, and I don't think there's another moment like this anywhere else in the game. You basically spend a bunch of time solving minor inconveniences for a bunch of nobles. They really could have done away with this bit, but you finally reach the back rooms with only you and Yufa. It's just the two of you. You can't take the whole party because it's much harder to sneak in a group of people than just a pair. This really limits your combat options. Metaphor is no stranger to placing limitations on your battle abilities. You have to roll through a good portion of the Grand Cathedral with only Will and Stroll. We've had mini-bosses on a timer in Louise's Skyrunner. It's almost like Metaphor's own little version of an escort mission. Except it doesn't completely suck, so, that's nice. Once you've scaled the Opera House, it's finally time for the real show to begin. You're tasked with throwing the lance. I know it's a cutscene and there's not much for you to do but watch and marvel at it, but I really wish they would have at least chosen when you throw Dracodios, like how Atlas did with the final boss of Persona 5 Royal, or like what Konami did with the ending of Metal Gear Solid 3, but that's just a small nitpick. I love that they actually show Louise getting hit by it. It's clear that you hit your mark, but then Yufa can't summon it back. And this is when you start to internally panic a little bit. You don't really know any good reason for her not to be able to recall it, but you hit Louise. Well, there's not much you can do now, so your group races out and plans on coming back for the lance later. This is when it gets good. Louise does, in fact, survive the assassination attempt, but is clearly wounded. He doesn't make an attempt to hide it. There's no bandages around the wound. You can see the blood staining his normally proud and regal outfit, almost like he wears it as a source of pride. Backed into a corner, you're forced to challenge him to a duel. At this point, it's really your final gambit. He has Dracodios, so much like the ending, you have to use his own pride against him. There is no reason for him to fight you. He's under the protection of the king's magic. He has Dracodios, so you can't harm him that way. It's his hubris that leads to his downfall. What I particularly love about the fight is that he's displayed as having half health. I imagine Atlas had planned on giving him this much health to begin with, but showing it as half is such amazing storytelling through such a simple change. However, through your teamwork with Yufa, you manage to slay Louise, again using his own pride against him. He taunts you with his back turned, only to be run through with Dracodios. His body falls through the ceiling and shocks everyone in the Opera House and shocks all of us, the players. This was the biggest twist for me. I love Luis. He's my favorite character in the game. So to see him tossed aside like this seemed like such an odd choice. I, unfortunately, had to go to bed when the party returned to the inn, and spent the entire next day at work thinking about his death. Why would Atlas choose Forden over Luis? Why kill him off now? Who actually put the curse on the prince? How could someone as intelligent as Luis not see this coming? What happens with Basilio and Fidelio now? All of these questions, and about a million more, were racing through my mind as I struggled to really get anything done at work the next day. And then, much like the party, I found myself in shock at his revival. Luis is alive, after all, thanks to none other than Zorba, the first real boss you fought all the way back at the top of the Grand Cathedral. I was so happy to see Luis back. I'm a little sad that he killed off Forden because I felt like Forden was a character we'd see more development from, but the way he's killed off more than makes up for it. And then comes Fidelio's sacrifice. We've seen Basilio struggling with Luis's ideology for a while, but Del has always felt pretty firm in his trust of Luis. This moment is the tipping point for the two of them. They recognize that Luis would have never protected them when they needed it, and now that they are strong enough to fend for themselves, he finds them useful. That apathetic attitude is what causes them to split off, and proves to be the end for Del. Basilio awakens to the Berserker archetype, and you have your final party member. After the chaos of the attack, Luis approaches you and challenges not you, but the late king himself. The candidate protection is lifted, and it's open season on the candidates. Despite that, he doesn't fight you. He simply leaves and tells you to find him in Grand Trad. Again, Luis is so prideful, he could have simply taken the real Dracodios and killed you on the spot. He didn't need to go through this elaborate production, but he chose to do so because he believes himself superior. The group escapes Altabury and the insanity continues on for really the rest of the game. All of this happens in the span of an hour to an hour and a half. It's seriously such a densely packed sequence that I feel like I could go on and on about it forever. Honestly, once you get to the Dragon Temple, it feels like a mad dash up until you get to that month-long break for the final arc. It's just rapid-fire, non-stop action and plot moments. It's crazy to me that there's no dungeon in this at all. I mean, I guess you could count the Opera House as a mini-dungeon, but nothing like the Skybound Avatar or the Dragon Temple. It's so much stuff that I feel like Basilio's awakening almost gets overshadowed by everything else that's happening. That's not even mentioning all of the stuff that happens with Rella immediately after. I can't even consider the Opera House a singular moment in the game. It's not like the scene where Will transforms into the prince. It's damn near its own story arc with how long and how much stuff happens. There's so many great parts of Metaphor ReFantazio. However, no section can compare to the absolute insanity that is the Montario Opera House. Thanks for watching.